for your values and fight for your friends. Fight through this blight, find the light at the end. Through the age of the dragon, the people will talk of the day they were saved by a hero named Hawk.
You're listening to Reignite, a podcast about how we can love something despite its flaws, and sometimes because of them. I'm Frankie.
And I'm at AK Stormageddon.
We conquered Dragon Age 2! You know, for a short game, we really made a meal of it.
Yeah, this is one of our longest seasons. It's kind of funny that one of the shortest games we've played of any of the games we've played was our longest season.
Well, it's because it was already kind of broken down very granularly.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, it wasn't perhaps worth breaking down to that extent. But we remain true to ourselves.
Yeah. I mean, I think part of it is that we've always gotten pretty granular. Like, Ken made a joke about it last episode, but like, Normandy has always kind of gone broad strokes, like acts of the game or sections of the game or major like plot points. Whereas we've never done that. We've always done like a couple of missions or like a character arc or something. And so it did make sense. Also, like grouping the like you said, grouping the missions together, I think probably would have made it harder to go through. Just like, unless we did what we've done before, where like we grouped together all the companion missions, and we sort of did that a little bit. You know, we lumped in the questioning beliefs with stuff when we could. But yeah, we did really kind of dig deep into this one. I think part of that, though, is also it, as of this moment, was a favorite of both of ours. You know,
yeah.
we you know, especially before the Veilguard released, which released over the process of us doing this, basically. Like, between the three games, this tended to be the one we liked a lot. For various reasons. And so I think we were going to make a meal out of it anyway, in the same way that I think, while I like all of our Mass Effect episodes, Mass Effect 2 and 3 are definitely deeper because we love those games more than the first one.
Yeah. And I think because Mass Effect was like, here is a planet. You're going to do everything on this planet.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was easier to have fewer episodes because there was more content.
Yeah, I mean, even with Origins, we were going to like a town and doing everything in the town, and then going to a different location and doing everything in that location that we could, right? Yeah. Whereas this was one location. Like, there were different places on the map, but like there was less to do in those single locations, so we couldn't make a meal out of that. We had to kind of go by the quest guide.
Yeah, but we figured it out, and it's fine. And now it's over.
I mean, the word "we" is doing a lot of heavy lifting. You figured it out. Like, basically, behind the scenes at this point, Frankie is pre-production and I'm post-production is how it works. And which is fine. It totally works out. But it's just kind of, that's how it goes at this point. And so I refuse to take any credit for the episode map or for the plan of the season, because you do.
By credit, you mean blame, right?
Right, sure. Or we can blame Frankie, too. That's true as well, yeah.
Because it is my fault that it was so granular, but I did agonize over it, and I did like group things together as much as I thought was feasible.
Yeah.
Like, you should also see me in the back and on the spreadsheet just being like, okay, and then these two missions can go together, but this mission's really long, so maybe it should be separated. This one's really short, so maybe we could do these together. This whole thing.
Yeah, yeah. And since the next game will be our first open world game, basically, because none of the other BioWare games are completely open world in the sense of like a closer to like modern open world games, it should be interesting to see how that breaks out. One thing for sure, we won't be doing the hinterlands all at once.
No, we will not. We are going to speed through the hinterlands.
And then come back later.
We'll come back later. It'll be fine. I have started the map, And
Yeah.
I think we're looking at maybe 20 episodes.
Okay. That's not too bad. Before the DLC or including the DLC?
Hang on, I'm sorry. I got very confused because I thought that I opened my... Okay, I opened the wrong document. Okay, here we go. We are looking at 25, maybe.
Okay. That seems somewhat reasonable.
I have to continue like going through my like guides and determine if I am correct, but we're looking at 25.
Okay. We will have more info on that for sure as we go. But yeah, I think it was really easy in the Mass Effect trilogy to create a neat little guide of missions and then post it as a graphic. And that's only gotten harder as we've expanded outside of Mass Effect, the Mass Effect trilogy, just because it doesn't break down as easily.
Even though Mass Effect tells you like it's non-linear, there is like a pathway that makes sense, and that made sense to both of us. So it was very easy to be like, we do this and we do this and we do this. Whereas with Dragon Age, there's a lot of different pathways, and there's also some doubling back, and nothing is ever really finished right away. So it's hard to be like, okay, and then we go to the I'm trying to think of a location and it's not coming to me. And we go to Arlithan Forest and we do everything in Arlithan. But that's not the case. You're going to be going back and forth to Arlithan because multiple things happen there. And as the story progresses, you're going to find new things. So it's a little harder that way. But I think it will be familiar in the sense that we did kind of do this with Andromeda.
Yes, that's true. Is the one thing is that the Frostbite engine, which is the graphics engine they use for Inquisition, they also use for Andromeda, and they are laid out similarly open world wise. Yes, and so and they're a similar size and scope, I'd say, those two games, because I believe it was Inquisition first and then Andromeda. So and so like, having conquered Andromeda and going through that, we should be able to do something fairly similar. And also Inquisition gets back to the more standard companion interactions as far as check-ins and like the way we used to do stuff when we'd go back to the Normandy, when we go back to the Keep, we'll be able to check in with the companions and all of that. Yeah.
Also, something I noticed in Inquisition is that there's no like limit, so to speak, to conversation. Like if they have a whole bunch of things to say, you can run through them in one visitation.
Yes. Yeah.
So you can like run them out before the end of the game. I don't know. It's a lot. But anyway, we're not talking about Inquisition right now. We're talking about Dragon Age 2.
Yes. Our classic postmortem episode where we talk about what we loved, what we didn't love, what we thought of the game before, what we thought of the game this time through, and kind of at the end where we land on this game as a whole. I'm not going to do any kind of rating or anything, but kind of give our overall impressions of where do we love the game more? Do we love it less? Did things get harder to enjoy this time around? Was it easier? You know, I said in our postmortem for Andromeda, as for example, like, I liked the game, but I think I would have enjoyed it more if I wasn't playing it for the show for the first time because of the start and stop nature. It just feels more segmented. And whereas a game like Mass Effect 1 that I know memorized, basically, like the start and stop doesn't affect me because I always know what's happened before because I've played it 18 times, you know?
Right.
But yeah, I guess let's get into some of our favorites and then we can wrap up with like our overall thoughts.
I know that I wrote the outline, but I just had an idea. Do we want to do most and least or just outright favorite?
I guess most and least, because I feel like we've done that. Well, we did. You said this is based on the Origins outline, and so I guess we didn't do that for that then.
I don't think we did.
Recall. Yeah.
But
I mean, I think we've been pretty vocal about which companions we hate.
Sebastian, what?
Yeah, basically.
Anyway.
What?
Okay, so who's your favorite companion?
Yeah, I mean, so no secret here that Frankie and I have the same favorite companion here. And if you've listened to this show at all, you would have already guessed that we both love Varric. I think it's easy for him to be a favorite because he's the strongest character out of all of them. Like I have some runner-ups. Like I did really like Meryl this time around as a character. I think she's really interesting. I even like Aveline as a character was interesting to discuss and interact with, even though I didn't like her half the time. Like unlike Sebastian, who I just hate. Like she was interesting this time through. But for me, Varric is bar none the best character in the game as far as companions go. I mean, just generally, like from his storylines to his friendship with Hawke. Like also we've talked about this a little, but like I like Varric through the lens of non-toxic masculine relationships. Right? Like their friendship is really solid. They're bros, but like there's not a lot of chest pounding, dick wagging basically between them. And
even if you look at the friendship between Varric and a female Hawke, like that's a really strong friendship with no romantic overtones.
Yeah. And like while I do wish we could romance Varric because we all love Varric, the choice to make him a stoic and platonic friend, I think really adds a value to their relationship. I like romance just like as much as the next person, but I think having friendships that are just friendships are great and make sense, and I'm grateful for them. And I think Varric is the strongest in the Dragon Age series for sure, and the strongest in this game, especially because you can't romance him at all.
Right. Because I'm the kind of person that feels like you should be friends with the people that you love.
Yes.
I generally feel like if somebody has a strong friendship, I'm like, but they could also date. Like I value and appreciate their friendship, but if they dated, I wouldn't hate it.
Right, of course.
That's usually where I fall. Like I wouldn't hate it. It would be kind of nice, but I'm happy with the way things are. But also, if they dated, I'm just saying, it could be.
Yeah, I will say playing through this time, though, I see the value of it just being a friendship.
For sure.
And, like, I think it's one of the better friendships BioWare has written. There are plenty of good ones, but there's a kinship here, especially when Varric's doing the narration between the chapters and all of that stuff. Like, it's just, I love the way he recounts the legend of Hawke as this friend, but also this larger-than-life figure.
Right. And something that I feel about Hawke is that if you were playing a non-magical Hawke, this is more applicable. Hawke is someone who could easily just like keep their head down.
Yes.
But they choose not to.
Yeah.
Like they get in the middle of everything because they feel that it's the right thing to do, whatever. Like for the plot, it is up to you playing Hawke. But the point is, they don't keep their head down. They choose to take a role in the events that are unfolding around them and be an active participant instead of passive and just letting the world progress without their input. And I think having a character that is not the quote chosen one or is not fated in any way, unlike the Warden or the Inquisitor, like Hawke's just a guy.
Yeah.
Whether it's female Hawke or male Hawke, that's just a guy.
Yeah.
And they somehow bend the entire political and social structure of Kirkwall around themselves just because they can't keep their nose out of it.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really interesting path for a protagonist. I think there's something really special about someone who chooses to take a stand instead of being forced into it.
Yeah, there's no like larger than life legend about Hawke until the halfway point when Hawke becomes the champion of Kirkwall. But even before, but they will step in no matter what. And even if they didn't become the champion of Kirkwall, it does seem like Hawke is the kind of person who would get involved and want to help those in need. I think the magic related Hawk, the mage version, there's more of a lean to that because of the mage background and wanting to stand up for to do the right thing. Whereas non-magical Hawk, you're right, could just kind of disappear into the crowd, but chooses not to. It's why, while I often have said that Hawk is the most established character in the canon that you can mold the least, I still compare Hawk to Shepard in the sense that I compare Dragon Age 2 a lot to the Mass Effect trilogy, whereas there's this kind of overall legend around the character, and there's also a predetermined path. It's very linear, this game, compared to other games, and feels more in line with a Mass Effect game structurally.
Yeah, I agree.
And so I make those comparisons too. And also Varric is very comparable, I'd say, to Garrus as like the best friend, comrade character, earned respect, joking, teasing kind of character. They're not identical characters, but I think similar archetypes for sure, especially as the marksman.
I can see that, especially for a male shepherd.
Yes. Yeah.
And if you choose not to romance Garrus as a femme shepherd, why would you? Yeah. Who would make that choice?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I mean, that is the reason that I love Garrus, is because he's just constantly in your corner. And there's something really strong about that when it comes to a love interest. Like I said, I think that you should be friends with the people that you date, with the people that you fall in love with. And that solid friendship is what locks Garrus in for me every time. Because when you've been through the worst traumas of your life, if there's a person who does not give up on you and is constantly there for you, that's the person that you want standing with you when the sky is falling down.
Yeah, for sure. And also, I think with Varric specifically, he's an easy character to love because he's also telling the whole story whenever it cuts back to him and Cassandra, right? And like him, because it's always Cassandra questioning Hawk, basically, and Varric standing up for him and saying, no, this is what happened. I'm telling the truth. If you don't want to hear it, that's fine, but this is what happened. I won't have you... Like, he doesn't give a shit if Cassandra questions his morality or his reliability, but the minute she questions Hawk, that's when Varric puts his foot down and is like, no, this is who Hawk was. This is what happened. And that's also a sign of a really good friendship and makes him a character who's easy to love.
Yeah, as much as I love Anders is my husband. I adore him. He's my favorite romance. Varric, as a character, has the most depth, has the most narrative voice, I would say.
Yeah.
And that's what makes him so important. And like, it makes him stand out.
Yeah. And it's what will make him continue to go on to be an anchor point for the series after this.
And least favorite character, that goes to Sebastian. Congratulations, Sebastian.
Yeah, I can't really argue with that.
You earned my ire yet again.
Yeah, basically.
You were poorly written. You had no integration. You were boring as hell.
Yes.
I hated romancing you.
I would be remiss
just because you're celibate.
Even though we have moved on to hating on Sebastian, I would be remiss if I didn't shout out Brian Bloom, the voice of Varric as well, who has done some great work. I think he's also gone on to read some of the Dragon Age audiobooks, which is fun. But like really has embraced the character and loves being this character. He's been in some digital comic spin-offs and other supporting stuff. But yeah, he also reads the Dragon Age Hard in Hightown, fictional crime thriller novel, written by Mark Kirby and using Varric Tetris as a pen name. But jumping back to Sebastian, I think my biggest complaint about Sebastian is wanting to like the character and wanting there to be a there, right? Like,
you tried so hard to like Sebastian.
Well, and also because I want to believe that BioWare is great at writing characters, and for the most part they are, but the DLC The DLC in Dragon Age 2, for a lot of reasons, does feel lazy in places. And even the characters that are in the DLC are more interesting short-term companion characters than Sebastian is. I think Sebastian, it just feels kind of like an afterthought that then gets weaved into the main narrative. Yeah, like we talked about it, but him getting mad in the final mission, like he threatens you, cries about it, and then runs away. And it's like, okay, like nothing comes of it, and it doesn't come up again later in the series. So, you know, it's just,
he does get mentioned once.
Yeah, but like it just feels very afterthought-ish in a way that like all of the characters in Awakening and Origins, especially the DLC characters in Origins, felt like part of the party and were interesting and had interesting things to say, had interesting missions. Yeah, whereas Sebastian kind of just becomes a nothing burger.
Yeah. What a waste of a Scottish accent.
I know, right?
All right, let's talk about our favorite moment.
Okay.
For me, it was actually Fenris's questioning beliefs, where he has to come to terms with this idea of living for himself instead of living just for survival.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, I found that moment to be really meaningful, both for the relationship between Fenris and Hawk, probably is even more intense in a Fenris relationship. But I like Fenris as a character. I like that he's so nuanced. He has these complicated feelings about mages, like an outright hatred, but he will tolerate them for the sake of Hawk, for the sake of Hawk's friendship. Even if Hawk is a mage, he'll move past it, because if you show up for him, he'll show up for you. And I think there's something really moving about realizing, oh God, I can't just keep living my life about this trauma. I have to actually process it and move on.
Yeah, I liked Fenris as a character more this time through this, but I will say he was also more difficult to like because I was a mage. Like it makes the relationship way more fraught for way longer, to the point where I even mentioned in the last episode that he abandons me only to then come back because I talk him back into teaming up with me at the end. But I do agree. I think his character arc is one of the strongest aside from Varric and Anders, as far as like really in-depth character, a lot of room for growth, a lot of complicated feelings as you try to understand him. You know, he is a character that I think got a lot of attention in ways that some others didn't, and I think it makes him a stronger character for it, and was definitely more interesting this time, even if it was harder to like him on this playthrough, because I was a mage. Like it made the conversations more interesting and the character development more interesting for sure.
Hell yeah. I do also wish that Fenris is a character that I wish that they brought back for future games.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, who cares?
Yeah, I know.
Like I would have loved to see Fenris again. I think we should have seen Anders again if Anders survived. And who else do I think would have been really important to see again? Honestly, I just think Anders and Fenris were good ones to bring back, but they never did.
Yeah, it's strange. We'll talk about it as the series goes on. The characters they do and don't choose to bring back and why they do are interesting. Some seem obvious, and then others are kind of like a question mark. Like, okay, why?
Yeah.
And I don't want to spoil anything for the next two games, because I know we have a few folks who are playing these games for the first time. But yeah, I agree. I would have loved to see Fenris and Anders again, especially since Anders was in the first game, technically. And so, like, it's the reason I mentioned Varric earlier is, like, he's the only character who is in almost all of the games and shows up the most of any companion character. Yeah. I mean, besides Cullen, but fuck Cullen.
Cullen's the worst.
He's so terrible. I mean, it also doesn't help that his voice actor is an absolute douche canoe. But
yes, we hate that person too.
Yeah. Yeah. So I agree. Yeah, I think it would have been fun to see Fenris come back in some way.
what about your favorite moment?
So my favorite moment was something that I thought was interesting when I originally played the game, but I think because of the way we handled it, made it more fun and made me look forward to these missions the most. But the White Lily murders, I think, while I don't completely love how it plays out, I think that there's some agency conversations to have. I do like the story. It's the most emotional I felt witnessing what Hawk goes through. And also, it was incredibly fun to make our own little murder,
That
our
was
own
fun.
little only murders in the building, but only murders in Kirkwall, basically. I think that made it even more fun because we could look at it differently and approach it differently. And even by the end, Callie got in on it as far as like how they submitted their voice notes. Like, it was just a really fun way to do that. I'm hoping we can find ways to do things like that in the future for other seasons. But it also made me, because we had to look at that chain of missions more nuanced, like I realized the impact of them, because when I'm playing the game for the first time, I'm just doing stuff. I'm not really paying that close attention. And like, oh, there's murders happening. Who cares? Whatever. And then when it links to Leandra and everything that happens to her, like I was like, oh, okay. Whereas this time, like I saw the pattern early and went, oh no, like saw where it was going and made it way more suspenseful. It's sort of like when you're watching a horror movie and you've seen it before, so you know what's going to happen, and a character's being dumb, and you're like, no, don't do that. Like,
I know you do that every time I watch this movie, but why are you doing it?
and so like it had that kind of effect too. But I really liked the way it was crafted. I also liked that there were several missions that seemed sort of linked that then quickly became very linked. I just like that chain of events where some other, as we complained, some quests are one-offs that make no sense, like where they brought the werewolves back in this game, but there was barely resolution to it. You make one choice and it just felt kind of out of left field. This series of missions felt really interconnected in an interesting way, especially because it connects to the Templars and someone trying to solve them as well. Like it just, and to the mages, obviously, also like it interweaves. For a side quest, that becomes a main quest. It interweaves the main narrative in an interesting way, and the way it affects Hawk is interesting, right? Because these characters are often in video games portrayed as who are untouchable, and Hawk is not untouchable because he has family who they care about that can be affected by this stuff.
I always harbored anger toward Aveline for the way that the murders are handled, but I think this time around it made me even angrier, especially since my own sexual assault happened around the time that we started doing Dragon Age 2, and like the people who were involved in that event could have prevented it and didn't. So I think there was a lot more emotional weight to it for me. But I really enjoyed writing up the episodes as the true crime podcast. I would love to do a true crime podcast that is all about crimes that happen in a fantasy world, like maybe Skyrim.
Oh, that could be fun. Yeah. If we ever run out of games to cover, just do a true crime podcast, or not even just Skyrim, but like every episode is a true crime podcast taking place in a different video game world and like turning like
Funny.
Jumping on the axe in Super Mario Brothers 1 to knock Bowser into the lava. Like, actual detectives trying to figure out what happened there. Like, just like goofy shit like that could be really fun.
I think that would be very funny. And if you continue to support Reignite, then maybe we'll make that happen.
Yeah.
For just $1 a day.
Right. But yeah, I mean, your writing was brilliant, and it was so fun to play a character in that. Like, I think just getting to flex our muscles in a different way. We've been doing this a long time. This is our 6th season, and I'm not even going to try and figure out how many years. This is a show that
8 years, Matt.
Thank you. This is a show that means a lot to us, but things can get stale. It's why Fandom Corner has evolved. It's why the structure has evolved. And so getting to do these episodes that were just so different helped make the White Lily murders my favorite portion of the game.
Yeah, I'm glad that you enjoyed it. That was such a tough storyline, though. And I think possibly one of the best written storylines in the game.
I agree.
Because it is kind of how serial killer investigation works, right? Like,
yeah,
you notice a pattern after a stretch of time.
Yeah.
I'm just going to be thinking about serial killers for the rest of the day.
I'm sorry? Question mark?
No, it's okay. Were there any moments that just you really hated?
I mean, I struggle with the end of this game. Like we talked about
fair.
it, but I think the Orsino moment, and we went into detail about it last week with Ken, so I'm not going to go too deep on it here. But like, it just feels stupid if you're supporting the mages. It just doesn't make sense. And so it's probably one of my least favorite. Like, it totally makes sense if you're siding with the Templars, right? If you're siding with the Templars, he's going to do anything to stop you. And while I still hate the fallback of all mages just become blood mages when they're cornered, which is such bullshit, I understand why the game would do that with Orsino, right? Do whatever it takes to protect the others. But it doesn't make sense if you're siding with the mages, and it's just an excuse to have a weird and cool boss fight that like was unnecessary. And so I think that's probably one of my least favorite moments in the game, just because of me playing the mage route. It feels so pointless.
I think I have been thinking about that moment and how I would rewrite it. And I know I mentioned last time that Orsino needed to experience a major loss, but here is my new pitch for the rewrite that we will eventually do of Dragon Age 2 one day. Hawk has to find out that Orsino worked with Quentin.
Yeah.
And there has to be an accusation of like, I know that we're about to fight the Templars, but I'm sorry, you participated in the ritualistic murder of my mother. We need to have a conversation about that, my man.
Yeah.
And then, like, the stress of that confrontation, I think that could push Orsino into the blood magic.
Yeah.
And then we could get the closure of Hawk realizing, like, wait, you did research with the person who murdered my mother, and you knew that he was dangerous, and you let him exist out in the world. And, like, you're just as bad as Meredith.
Yeah.
And I think we needed that moment to make the Orsino fight make sense for Hawk.
Agreed.
So, BioWare, when you want to redo Dragon Age and give it a little bit of a tweak and write it a little bit differently, call me. My least favorite moment, I have to say, is when you are helping Meryl the last time. And you have to kill Marafari. And you come out and the entire clan is like frothing for Meryl's blood. You have two options. Be kind of a shithead to Meryl in order to not murder everyone, or support Meryl and murder everyone.
Yeah.
And I really hate that.
It's a horrible binary, yeah.
And yeah, is my least favorite part of the game. It's my least favorite decision to make. Because, like, I want to support Meryl, but I also don't want to murder all of these people.
Yeah.
So, I don't like it. It makes me upset.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, I think that's Dragon Age 2's biggest flaw. And we'll talk more about this in the wrap-up, but, like, it's too binary with its choices. And when it is at its most binary, it doesn't seem to make sense. Like, it's either it's red or green. Like, there's no in between.
What about NPCs?
So I think my favorite, this game struggles with memorable NPCs. Like, some of them are okay. Like, I actually think the Viscount is an interesting character, though not my favorite. Like, there are some memorable characters that are interesting within the story, but I don't like a lot of them.
Yeah, that's fair.
Most of them kind of suck. But I think I like the Arashok the best because I love every interaction we have with him. I love the Qunari storyline, though it feels kind of ham-fisted into this game. considering the overall plot of the Mage and Templars. But I do like the interactions with him and the conversations and how unbothered he is by everything, that he is just kind of like gonna do whatever the fuck he wants, no matter, and the respect that you garner from him even when you're about to fight him. Like, I really think that he's a well-developed and interesting character that made the complexities of living in Kirkwall really unique. Even if I don't always quite understand what his purpose was in the story.
Yeah. I think most of the Qunari were really interesting characters. My favorite was Seamus, who is adjacent to the Qunari because of his like wealth of empathy for them. And also, you know, he and one of them were lovers, obviously.
Obviously.
But I think Seamus had so much potential to bring peace to Kirkwall, like by understanding the Qunari and, you know, just being so willing to get to know them and not be afraid of them. And I think his death was so heartbreaking. You know, he was one of my favorite characters. I thought that he was very strong and very thoughtful, and a person that I would like to be friends with.
Yeah, he was done really well, and also obviously a queer icon as well, which is really important.
Yes,
because they were obviously
lovers.
Yes, not just really good friends. Finger quotes.
Not just pals.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I love all of the Qunari storytelling. It just a lot of it felt like a distraction from the main plot of the Templars versus the Mages, which is the overarching plot, especially of the whole second act, but like even threaded throughout the first, you know, the third act, but like still threaded throughout most of the game. Like, yeah, it just feels like the Qunari stuff was like another thing that then amounted to not much after. And continues to not amount to much after, we'll find. I mean, it depends. We'll get into it. But, like, I agree. I think that the Seamus storyline, the stuff with the Arashok, even how you first meet the Arashok through what's his name? What was that dwarf's name who was a jackass? Yeah, I can't.
I want to say it again with a J, but I can't remember.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I think that all of the storytelling with the Qunari was great, even if, again, it didn't contribute a ton to the overall plot, it felt like.
Okay, let's talk about... Were there any NPCs that you were like, fuck this guy, why do you exist?
I don't know. What's his name? Who ran the mine? Hubert! He was terrible. He was the worst.
I was just thinking Hubert. I hate him so much.
He's just the ultimate capitalist and like serves a good purpose in the side quests to make you hate him if that's the purpose, but he's the worst.
He's so bad. I hate Hubert. What about DLCs? What DLC did we enjoy of all two of them?
All two of them. I mean, I think I preferred Legacy just because the puzzles were easier and fuck the puzzles in most of this game. And like the Coryphia storyline is interesting. It becomes less interesting, I think, when we know what we know, unfortunately. But like it was interesting in this, especially playing as a mage and fighting an old world mage and like playing into more of the Darkspawn stuff, because I like the Darkspawn stuff from the first game. I like what we experienced in Awakening. I thought it was interesting, even if it was poorly executed at times. And so I think I leaned more on Legacy. I didn't mind Mark of the Assassin. I think it's also still a good DLC, but I think for me, Legacy was more superior. Also because I like being able, like, whether you like Carver or not, I like when the siblings are involved. I like they're an important part to the story, and I kind of wish they were more involved, honestly. But I enjoy that it's basically you palling around with your best friend and your sibling.
See, for me, I preferred Mark of the Assassin to Legacy. I liked Legacy. It's fun. I like that we get some lore. We get the sense that, you know, what we learned about Tevinter mages trying to access the Golden City, you know, potentially a real thing that happened.
Yeah.
and finding out the truth behind the religious mandate or like the religious myth. I enjoy that, I admit. But I preferred Mark of the Assassin. I like the storytelling. I think as a DLC, it is more functional because I think DLC needs to be something that if you skip it, it doesn't hurt your knowledge of the world.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you skip Legacy, it does kind of hurt your knowledge of the world.
I mean, does it?
I think it does a little bit.
Okay, fair enough.
Especially when you get to Inquisition.
Sure. I mean, I'd only push back that, like, whatchamacallit, Mass Effect 3 is our favorite DLC because of how integrated it is to the story, I think. So, like...
Arrival?
Shore Leave. Shore Leave.
Oh, Shore Leave.
Yeah. Like
Citadel.
Citadel's great DLC because of this kind of, like, finalized moment. I mean, that's different because it's the end of a trilogy. So, like, I can see your point, but I think DLC sometimes, for me at least, I feel like DLC is more fun when it lends to the continuation of the narrative or bridges the gap even. But Arrival is a good point too, in 2. Like,
see, I love the Citadel DLC because it gives me a chance to hang out with all my friends. But if you take the Citadel DLC out of the game, you're not missing any information.
That's true. You're right.
You know, unlike Leviathan contains vital information to the game.
Yes.
You know, like there are some DLCs, if you take them out, you miss a lot of information and you are less informed about the world.
Yeah.
Whereas Citadel DLC, if you take that out, you're not less informed about the world. You are maybe less informed about the possibility of Shepard having an evil clone, but like that doesn't really impact the world of Mass Effect.
No, it doesn't. No, I see your point. I think also it's hard to assess DLC when you come back to a game where it's already established, like where it's all considered. None of it is considered DLC technically because it's all in the game now, right? Like it's all part of the game now.
They don't think it's DLC anymore.
Yeah.
I getcha. But I think that when we take into consideration what DLC should do, I stand by my statement that Mark of the Assassin is a little bit more functional as DLC. Because if you take out Mark of the Assassin, you're not losing any vital information about the world as you go forward in it.
That's true.
Also, I thought it was fun to be a little sneaky sneak. I know you hated it.
Yeah,
but I like it. Like when we might one day talk about Assassin's Creed Odyssey, my favorite thing is hiding in a bush and just sniping people through walls. It's my favorite part of the game.
Okay. All right.
I just hide and I kill everyone. And everybody's really confused how it happened. And I'm like, that was me! I just like to be a little sneaky rogue.
We know.
I sneak up on people and I go, step, step. So I enjoyed Mark of the Assassin. And I thought the puzzles were fun and engaging.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't dislike the DLC again, like you with Legacy. I enjoyed Mark of the Assassin. I just think that it had too many puzzles and I hated sneaking. So
that's fair.
Yeah.
Ooh, and we can agree the worst DLC was Sebastian.
Yes, correct. That's true. That is absolutely factual.
Just the worst DLC.
He's the worst DLC. I wish I could uninstall him.
Next time, I'm just not going to recruit him. I'm going to be like, you can stay there.
Yeah, I guess we
don't need you.
I guess we can ignore him.
You can technically be like, I don't know.
No thanks, I'll pass.
Anyway. Let's see, anything else you want to talk about?
I mean, we should give our overall impressions of this game, I guess, and like where we land with it now on this playthrough. And I can go first on that. I think ultimately I still really love this game, but I do think it buckles under the weight of overanalysis. I think it is impossible to ignore the flaws when we are looking mission by mission, and when we are just kind of picking it apart. And I think not a lot of games would buckle under that scrutiny, but I think this game, because of its trouble development, its short timeline, its inherent flaws generally, and it being one of the more poorly received Dragon Age games and BioWare games, I think all of that comes to light when you're analyzing it like we do. I still like it. I don't know if it's still my favorite. I have to wait till we get through all 4 games now, especially having played the Veilguard outside of our process and really liking it. But the Veilguard does harken back to this game a lot. So I think that as far as style and structure. So yeah, I enjoyed this game still, but I think I liked it less on this playthrough just because it's hard to love it when you're constantly picking at its flaws as well. Like, without a doubt, worst dungeons in any video game I've ever played. And like really hard to ignore on this playthrough. When you're playing them back to back and kind of speeding through the combat stuff when you're playing on your own, the story stuff will step forward. But because there were some missions we did that were 90% combat in bad dungeons, it's harder to ignore them.
No, I completely agree with you. I think that this is not a game that you can analyze and still feel like, but it's my favorite though. I think it's very necessary to analyze the things that you love.
Yeah.
I think it's very necessary to be able to criticize the things that you love. I think that Dragon Age 2 needs a break from being criticized.
Yes.
I think I need to put it down and be like, okay, I'll come back to you later and I won't criticize you next time and I'll just have a good time playing my game. And that's it. I do still really enjoy the game. I do still love Anders and I love Varric and I love the whole unreliable narrator aspect. And we can say like Varric is so insistent about telling the truth about Hawke, but this is the truth as far as we know.
Right, for sure.
So I just love this idea that like, is Varric telling the truth about any of this?
Yeah.
Or is it all just a smokescreen?
Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons I really enjoy this game. You're right. It's not a game that you're meant to break down as molecularly as we did with all the development issues. And there's just too much wrong with it.
Yeah. And like, it was fun to do just because it's fun to interact with all of you listening. And I love doing this with Frankie, but I agree that I think if I want to find my mojo with this game again, I'll need to give it a replay. Part of the problem also is that I've replayed the Mass Effect trilogy many times, and it feels like one game. We'll see by the end of this, but I'm pretty confident to say that the Dragon Age games don't feel that kind of uniformity intentionally. Like, they are meant to be different games, and stylistically, graphically, like, also Mass Effect came out on a much shorter timeline, all in one console generation, which never happens, whereas Dragon Age 1 and 2 were on one console generation, Dragon Age 3 is on a different one, and Dragon Age 4 is on a different one. And so when you're developing games for different console eras as well, it also hurts the uniformity of them, right? I think the reason the Arkham series, to get outside of BioWare, works so well is because Arkham Asylum, City, and Origins are all on one console generation. And then Arkham Knight comes out on the next one, but they kind of keep it consistent, right? I think when games come out so far apart from each other, it's hard to make that consistent. And to that end, though, the Final Fantasy VII Remake trilogy have come out each on a different console generation. It does seem like the third one will come out this gen. And those have been somewhat consistent, too. So I think it's up to the developers as well. But I just don't think there was a world in which Dragon Age 2 was going to feel like anything else in the series. I think it was just going to be at a disadvantage no matter what. I still really love it. I can't say with confidence right now that it's my favorite in the series still. Mm-hmm. It's still a game I really love, but I need to re-experience Inquisition and replay Veilguard to really have a better idea of which one is my favorite. I can say that without a doubt, Origins is my least favorite in the series. I like the game, but it is just so clunky that it drives me crazy. Again, playing through Dragon Age 1 and 2 on PC is a challenge. BioWare didn't do controller support for their old games. I hate playing mouse and keyboard on an action RPG. Just doesn't work. So having the benefit of a controller also will change my perspective, I think. And because we are never seemingly ever going to get a remaster of the first two games with controller support like we got for the Legendary Edition, I don't know that I'll ever get to play them with a controller at this point, since I don't have, unless I buy the old versions for a different console. So yeah, all in all, I do still like this game a lot, but the flaws were definitely more glaring on this playthrough.
Yeah, I completely agree.
All right, so that's our postmortem on Dragon Age 2. Before we get into a fandom corner and prep y'all for next season, we have fan mail from Callie from a few episodes ago, because we've banked a bunch of these, so we're a little out of sync, but we always thank Callie for this voice note. And then also at the end of the episode, we have a little surprise bonus from Callie as well. But here is Callie's fan mail on Legacy.
Anathara, everyone. Here are some thoughts on episode 49 and Legacy. Since Matt had Warden Carver, a note on Templar Carver's chill level. Not improved. Enjoyed the lore notes giving little hints, slowly revealing more about what is happening here. Fond of the trope of a sleeping, powerful entity influencing the world without even trying. I think part of why the stuff about Malcolm is so unemotional for me is that while the family clearly misses him, that is an old, well-healed wound. And neither the players Hawk nor Carver seem to speak as though they were super close with their dad, or have any complicated or unresolved feelings about him. They seem curious to learn about this part of his past, but they do not seem to feel much about it either. Jenica's plan sounded too good to be true, and she starts with wanting to negotiate with Corypheus, but when we express skepticism, she suddenly has a spell to dominate him? Highly suspect. Felt very likely Larias was correct, and this was Corypheus influencing her. Suspicious that Larias seemed to be increasingly lucid as we got closer to Corypheus. And at the end, the plan is to free and kill Corypheus. Made it feel like both plans were a trick. It is quick and easy to miss, but I like the detail that Corypheus says something like, "It was supposed to be golden." Good foreshadowing. As always, many thanks to Matt and Frankie for taking the time and effort to make Reignite. And remember, all Templars are bastards, and they must be abolished and held accountable for what they have done. And Carver has truly committed to sharing in that fate, in my case.
Thank you for that, Callie. As always, we love hearing from you. Also, shout out to everyone on the Discord who's been chiming in and chatting. We really appreciate it. I love that we have such an active community for this podcast. The fact that it's not just Callie, but that Rachel is also joining in, Kaz and others. Like, that's the whole point of the show, is we want it to be a conversation to chat about these games and talk about our own personal experiences, since we all experience these games differently, especially if we're putting our whole personality in them. And so thank you for that. And we're hoping for more of that in the next season.
Yeah. All right. Fandom Corner. Whee! So for me, for Fandom Corner, I'm going to shout out a classic, Miss Fisher's Murder Mysteries. If you are unfamiliar, this is a series of books, but I'm specifically referring to the TV series about a wealthy woman living in Australia who decides that she's going to become a private detective. She is beautiful. She is sexually liberated. It's the 1930s. She gives no fucks about anything. And she's passionate and strong-willed. I love everything about Phryne Fisher. She's amazing. Her companion Dot is also the sweetest little Catholic girl, and I also love her because even though she is afraid of everything in the world, she consistently proves herself to be brave because she stands up for herself and she stands up for others and she faces her fears, and she becomes Miss Fisher's ride or die. uh, if you like murder mysteries, if you like kind of a cozy feeling, if you like subverting tropes, highly recommend Miss Fisher's Murder Mysteries. My friend is actually reading the books, and she says that the books are also really good. So if you're more of a reader, then try the books. But a TV show, I believe you can stream on Acorn. I am lucky, and I have the DVDs. Physical media for the win.
Awesome. We were in sync a little bit this fandom corner because I also brought a murder mystery.
Ooh.
A game I'm playing for review called The Mermaid Mask. It's in the Detective Grimoire series. The game Tangle Tower was the previous game. I had not heard of this series, and then I got a request to see if I wanted to review it, and was given a review code. These are the same developers who also did Crow Country. I'm going to actually bring up the developer's name now so I can give them the proper credit. SFB Games. And so the Detective Grimoire series has Grimoire and Sally, a pair of detectives investigating these strange situations. The Mermaid Mask is about the murder of a sea captain on a submarine. And the animation is some of the best 2D visual novel style animation I've ever seen. The voice acting is absolutely top notch. The story is really good. There's a lot. It's basically a visual novel with puzzles, to solve the mysteries. And then there are also puzzles to solve, like when you're making an epiphany or an accusation, you like pull the sentences together by taking tiles of the characters and choosing what the sentences are between the characters to make like a statement. It's really interesting and well done. And even a dum-dum like me is able to figure out a lot of it. The character writing is great. Frankie, you would love it. Sally, Detective Grimoire's partner, is very sassy and sarcastic and often giving him shit. It's really goofy. There's a lot of silliness in it, but also a lot of heart and sincerity and like the murder mystery solving stuff. All of the characters are really unique and really uniquely designed. I haven't finished it yet, so my review is still in progress. But if you are following Fun and Games and our Patreon, even at the free tier, it'll be my July monthly written review. So I'll hopefully have that in the next week or so. But I'm really loving it. It's really fun. I was lucky enough to get codes for the previous games in the series too, which are much shorter. So I will probably go back and play them as well. It is an anthology style series, like any good murder mystery, where like you don't really need to know about the lead detectives to understand the story, because the story is focusing on the what happened and the solving, not these characters. They do hint back at other characters from other games in this game, but like they don't really do it in a way that makes you feel lost. And I'm excited to go back to play the previous games in the series, but this one is touted as like you can jump right in with this one if you like murder mystery series, since those are often designed to be read in kind of any order as well and to be, isolated stories. This is very much the same. There are a lot of meta moments, like when they talk about, who would make make up a story about solving a murder, and then the character will look at the screen and like look at you, the player, which is fun. But yeah, it is really great writing in a way that I've not experienced in a while. That's also very silly and entertaining. It's a very lighthearted murder mystery kind of game, and so I highly recommend it.
Cozy mystery.
Yeah, especially if you like visual novels. Like, I think this is definitely a really great one of those. Really interactive. It is on console, but I've really been enjoying playing it on PC because you can click around with the mouse. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I highly recommend it. The Mermaid Mask, and it's out now.
I don't know, Matt. If you're able to solve the puzzles, maybe it's too easy for me.
Ha ha ha.
I'm sorry.
Go jump in a river.
I can.
I know.
There's one nearby.
I'm aware. All right. So this is the end of season 6. This was a long one. We're going to take a little break and be back in September with our first episode of Inquisition. Basically, to prepare for the first episode of Inquisition, make your Inquisitor. Are we going to give them a section of the early part of the game to play, or are we just going to kind of do setup first and then jump into the game?
So, our first episode is going to be character creation, meeting Cassandra and Leliana, and playing through to the title screen.
Okay, great. So that's what we'll be covering in the first episode when we're back from break. So please do that as well if you're joining along with us. We are very excited to be jumping into Inquisition and continuing the show. We have some fun stuff planned. And if you have not played Inquisition before, I think something to let you know is if you've been playing along with us and you have an established save file for Dragon Age 2, the Dragon's Keep does still work in theory. So if you go to Dragon's Keep, it's the website that they use to allow you to integrate your playthroughs from Dragon Age Origins and 2 into the Inquisition, since it was on a new console for console players. For PC, it mattered less. And so if you need to do that, I would give yourself a lot of time, as you are probably going to be handpicking stuff to set up. It can technically pull your save data if you're playing on PC, but it is flawed at best. So just if you can write down or remember the choices you've made, you're probably going to have to piecemeal this together. But Dragon Age Inquisition does still pull that data. If you have a linked account for, I believe, your EA account, it can still get that data because Frankie tested it to test playthrough for this season. So go ahead and do that. I don't think it's the end of the world if it doesn't incorporate that stuff, but some things won't play out the way you'd want them to if you don't set that up. So do that. We will keep an eye on socials in the Discord for when we're coming back. But the plan is probably that first week of September. I'm traveling right before that, so it'll depend on when Frankie and I can record. But we want to give ourselves a good chunk of the rest of July and part of August to just kind of chill, vibe, and prep for the new season. But we'll be excited to see you all back in September for Season 7 and to cover Dragon Age Inquisition.
Yay! All right, folks, if you like what you heard here, you can follow us on social media. We're at ReignitePod on Blue Sky, YouTube, and Instagram, or you can send us an email at reignitepod@gmail.com. You can also find us on Blue Sky as Frankie B. Writes and DJ Stormageddon. I am a little bit more active on Threads as Frankie B. Writes.
And whereas I am most active on Blue Sky, I have been posting a little more on Instagram, but that's mostly life and concert stuff. I post videos from time to time, but I'm just not super active there. Please rate, review, and subscribe on your favorite podcatcher if you can. It helps us get seen so other people can find the pod. The best and free way you can help any podcast is by rating and reviewing it, going to a podcast platform or multiple. If you are on multiple platforms like me, like the sicko that I am, rate and review on all those platforms, because again, it helps us grow this audience and more folks find the podcast. And I suspect as we go into Inquisition and the Veilguard, we may get an influx of listeners because these are the more popular games in the franchise. And so hopefully we get some newbies to join along in the adventure as well.
We're members of the Certain Point of View Network. Visit certainpov.com to find more nerdy podcasts, each with a unique point of view. You can also find a permanent invite link to our Discord server on the website where you can join the conversation.
As for personal plugs, of course, a reminder that I do another podcast called Fun and Games with the incredible Jen Moonen. She and I do topic-based episodes where we talk about different genres of games, retrospectives. We recently got to interview one of our favorite composers, Jake Kaufman, who is the composer behind Shovel Knight and Mina the Hollower, to just name a few of many. It's a really great show. And then also within that feed, we have a sub-series called Side Quests, where a different host talks about a game they love and why they love it. They're short, bite-sized episodes that come out every Monday and every other Friday. in between the main Fun and Games episodes, where we share in the community's love of gaming. So you should definitely check that out. And then as for me, also, I am going to be at PAX West. I'm really excited to be going back to PAX West in Seattle. I'm on a couple of panels. I'm actually going to bring up that panel information now, since I am not sure, since our next episode won't be out till after I've gone. And I would love for y'all to come through if you are in Seattle. So one of my panels is I am rejoining the incredible Jacob McCourt to do video game trivia. I get to redeem myself after my horrible performance last time. And this time I have a ringer, which is Jen Moonen, my co-host. So hopefully we'll win the whole damn thing. That is at, I have to do some West Coast math. That's at 7:30 in the Frog Theater over on the Friday, September 4th. And then the second panel I am on is going to be at 9 p.m. on Sunday in the Frog Theater, and it's called Video Game Character Fishbowl, the Game. Basically, video game character charades. And I'm doing that with Matt Kroll over at Extra Credits, as well as a bunch of all the really cool folks. So definitely go check that stuff out. If you have already forgotten everything I've said, keep an eye on my socials. I will, of course, be posting about the panels there as well. So yeah, if you're going to be in Seattle during PAX West, please come say hi.
As for me, I'm still working with my friend Harlan Lane to put together the Romance Society Bookshop here in Coleraine, Northern Ireland. So if you love romance, if you love independent bookstores, then please follow us on Romance Society Books on Instagram, Threads, TikTok. Apparently we have a Facebook page. Keep track of our journey. We are looking at potential storefronts right now. We're hoping to get a Kickstarter going in the next couple of months. There are so many plans in the works. We have like an ideal location plan, and then we have a obtainable small location plan. So just follow us on social media. Keep an eye out. And tell us what your favorite romance books are. Engage. I don't know. That's Romance Society Books on all of the social media.
We'd like to thank Case Aiken for developing some awesome t-shirts that you can get over at certainpov.com, or just go directly to the Certain POV Teespring. Also, thank you as always to Case for designing each episode's individual show art.
We'd like to thank Miracle of Sound for the amazing theme music we've used for this past season. If you've been jamming along, then you should head over to miracleofsound.rocks and check out Gavin Dunn's other music and merch.
Thank you again, Gavin, for giving us the okay to use the song. It was a blast to partner with you in this way, and I hope tons of folks have discovered your music as a result. You do some awesome and really great video game-related stuff. Thank you to Red Spinks for designing our Dragon Age-inspired logo. To see more of his work, you can go to Chaos Does Art on Instagram.
And lastly, thank you for listening. I'm Frankie.
And I'm at AK Stormageddon. And take it away, Callie.
And remember, what we fight for is more important than who we must fight against. But, indeed, all Templars are bastards. Do not let Templars just walk in and abduct members of your community. Do not let history forget that all Templars... Actually, I want to take this a step further. We need to abolish the Templars. The Templars and the Magisters. And I would prefer the entire chantry go down with them. But not all of us are able to fight, and there is no shame in that. When our enemy wants to destroy us, if you are still alive, you are winning. All Templars are bastards, and they must be abolished. Also Patrice. And same for the guards. We can create a society that does not need to enforce rules with the threat of violence. All Templars are bastards, and they must be abolished and held accountable for what they have done. Also bastards, Hubert and the Crows. And Althena is no better. And maybe the Arlesian nobility should be next. And Carver has truly committed to sharing in that fate in my case. And remember, all Templars are bastards, and they must be abolished and held accountable for what they have done. Meredith was a good start, but this will be a long fight for freedom. But we will fight, we will survive, and we will prevail.
Fight for your values and fight for your friends. Fight through this blight, find the light at the end. Through the age of the dragon, the people will talk of the day they were saved by a hero named Hawk. And I will recite you a tale of bold adventures spanning both sides of the veil. I knew a champion, we traveled far and wide. We saw so many wonders roving side by side. In the streets of Kirkwall we brought help to those in need. Word had spread so quickly of our dealings and our deeds. Fight for your values and fight for your friends. Fight through this blight, find the light at the end. Through the age of the dragon, the people will talk of the day they were saved by a hero named Hawk. Hawk, 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 Hawk. Into the deepest roads we ventured in the black. If we had only known what we were bringing back. We felt the fire of every Templar, every mage, caught in the crossfire of their politics and rage. Had to pull some strings and get them off each other's backs. There was so much greater danger waiting to attack. Fight for your values and fight for your friends. Fight through this blight, find the light at the end. Through the age of the dragon, the people will talk of the day they were saved by a hero named Hawk. Hawk, 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 Hawk. Just a lowly refugee, your champion arrived. Round shores of Ferelden fade to Kirkwall's buzzing hive. Rose above the poverty and rose above the pain. My friend became the savior of the white city of chains. Fight for your values and fight for your friends. Fight through this blight, find the light at the end. Through the age of the dragon, the people will talk of the day they were saved by a hero named Hawk. Hawk, 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 Hawk.
This is We Burlesque.
Hi, this is Victor Vaughn, and I run the We Burlesque Podcast Network. I am currently in my
7th
season of the We Burlesque Podcast, which began, so many episodes ago, and I've been so delighted and intrigued to learn about our colleagues and our friends in the industry. So if you enjoy being a wallflower in the dressing room and hearing all about what we do, why we do it, and what's left to do, please go to Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Google, Libsyn, and probably some other ones I don't even know about. Oh, we're on Audible now. How neat is that? We're on frickin' Audible. Oh, so go to your platform of choice, hit subscribe when you find We Burlesque. That's WEBURLESQUE. I should know how to spell it by now. So, or you can go to WeBurlesquePodcast.com. That's all one word. That's WEBURLESQUEPODCAST.com. Yeah, that should do it. Or on Instagram at WEBURLESQUE. That's it. Hi. So, anyway, be well, be safe, and let's talk.
CPOV. CertainPOV.com.